Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to some of you and peace out to the rest of you. It is the blackest heart, the blackest mind, the blackest man on social media. Believe it or not, signing black and shining again, asking you to hit the share button because the message is more important than the messenger. You can tell from the title of this that this message is about Boris Kojo, Tom Brady, Steph Curry. Now, there's a part of me that wants to ask what all these guys have in common, since their wives are willing to sit up here and take what they want internally and talk about it publicly and make their husbands look kind of bad. But if I ask that question, somebody would bring up the ones who don't have to go through this, i.e. like LeBron James, like Morris Chestnut. And they would think that I was asking a question for a reason that I'm not actually asking it. You catch my drift. I've already thought this through. However, see, in order to find out what it really is, they would all have to sit down, all the celebrities, and they would have to sit down and talk about these things. And even I, Black Mind, the bald monster who goes really hard on Western women as a whole, not because I hate them, but because they need it, don't want to see Western women or Eastern women, white, black, or light or dark, who have not screwed things up for their men, have to have their business aired, even if it is to say this is what a good relationship looks like. I don't want their husbands to have to talk about them publicly, even if it's good necessarily, and betray their privacy. So I'm not asking for this. I'm not looking for it as much as it would help us. What I am going to say is this, though. See, I understand what some of it is. There's a game that's being played here. And I'm going to tell you what these two games are. Number one, Gisele Bündchen said that Tom Brady doesn't do enough housework. Studies have proven that's a lie. Men who do help out a lot with the housework, not men who help out just any, but men who really help out, really pitch in with the housework, are unattractive. I knew about this study. Now, Donovan Sharp and Better Bachelor know more about this than I do. They can remember more than I can. But I knew the study existed and I knew what the findings were. You know what I did when I got married? Outside the U.S., I did a lot of the housework. Now, I didn't know about the study when I lived in the U.S., but I did a lot of it anyway to help out. Boy, that shit was true. So I did it outside the United States, outside the West, both times I got married. And I'm waiting for that to be true in my case. See, the study was done in a Western context. You see. So what this means is that Gisele Bündchen is either lying or she doesn't know herself. And either one is just as bad as the other because she's a wife. Now, if a man doesn't know himself and he's always lying, or he's always lying, either one, then the women say this is a reason enough for him to not get married. Okay, so she's doing this, either one, yet nobody's disqualifying her from being married based on that when they should, because she deserves it. She's saying this. That's a game. Nicole Ari Parker. Let's take her with her mouth. We know that she interrupts Boris Kojo as a bad habit. We know that from a previous video from years ago when they met with Judge Lynn. That's true. Now, Judge Lynn had to tell her, you need to let him finish. Stop always interrupting him. But it's so painfully slow and English is his second language. So, now he gave feedback at that point. This time we saw the video. He kept eating. He didn't fifth a guck. No, I didn't cuss. When that man said, I still do that, Boris, he looked up, nodded, and kept on eating. You know why? I've been in that situation before. I know. He can't communicate with her because she doesn't listen anyway. She'll cut him off, talk over him, so he's given up. Now, there may be other things about which I don't know. I'm sure there are, but I do know this is one of them. So this is a game. Always talk over him. Don't let him finish. This ruins all kinds of relationships, business relationships, romantic marriages, everything else. It was one of the things that ruined my marriage. It ruins many relationships between any two black people for any reason, business, liberation. This is what's made it impossible for me and a non-black man in light-skin motivation to continue to communicate, even though I've been very diplomatic. Same with me and Paul Bryant. Same with me and Ms. Philosophier. Do you know what it is? It's simple. I actually agreed with them on many things. I doubt everything because I just found that channel a short time ago. But on many things, I actually agreed with them when they explained it. The problem was when I would say, wait, we actually agree on these points. They didn't read what I wrote and they didn't listen to what I said in the videos. Light Skin Motivation even admitted to it. I didn't listen to this yet because I got to run my channel. I'm too busy. And I believe her. She is. She's got a baby, so I'm sure she's busy. But if you don't hear or read what someone told you, why are you responding to what they didn't say? Why do you continue to respond to points they didn't make and assert? For anybody, not just me. Why do that to anybody? That ruins relationships because the communication is gone. Same thing. So, of course, we're done talking. I can learn from them. But when I'm done learning what they bring the receipts for, they're not going to be able to give not just me, but anyone, you or anyone else, any new information. Not because they're completely stupid. It's not that, but because they've fallen victim to this bad habit. They don't take in any new information. There's no input and output. For them now, it's just output only. Bedouin Arabs are like that. African Americans are like that. Dumbass, what they call white trash are like that. Lagos metro area Nigerians are like that. Anyone that's like that has to deal with that issue. Now that we've gotten this out the way, let me point something else out too. In the spirit of what one of them on that channel said about, not being victims or not stopping at being victims, I would say that the middle road is that you realize you are a victim of something, and then you decide a plan so that either you're no longer a victim or nobody else is ever a victim. One of the two, whichever one is the best you can do. And I'm going to say this, in order to decide that we're not going to be this anymore and that others aren't going to be this, here's what you do. You aggressively tell young guys, even as young as 13, especially if you're related to them, what these games are. Tell them about Giselle Bundchen's game and that study that proved that this is a game. Tell them about Nicole Irie Parker and then show them the video, or tell them about the video when Judge Lynn had to say to her, "You interrupt too damn much, you need to stop it." And she wouldn't listen. And now he won't communicate with her or about her to anyone else for that matter. Tell them about how Aisha Curry said one thing a few years ago, and then about a year ago, about 11 months ago, she turned around and said the opposite. I wish that I could get attention from other men. They don't pay attention to me anymore. Tell them how duplicitous they are. And then let these guys know, listen, here's the deal, blood. You need to get these passports and these skills that will allow you to get out the West if you want to be with someone. Because otherwise, in order to protect yourself, if you're going to stay in the West, you're going to have to get a vasectomy, not tell anybody, and you have to never marry in front of a courthouse. Now, if that's too drastic, you need to do what I said. Now, not all of them are going to believe you right off the bat. And if their mothers don't want you saying this, it's even more important to say it. I'll tell you why in a bit. You got to tell them this because, see, when they need to know what options are not out there for them. That's the first thing. The second thing is they need to know the traps that are waiting on them. But anyway, what I was going to get at is that they got to understand also this. See, when they know what the deal is, you told them, but they don't necessarily believe it right off the bat. They've heard you say it. They're still going to find out. But then they'll know what the backup plan is. You know what? Man, Uncle was right. I'm up here pursuing them, and it's like I got to be Superman just for her to be Lois Lane. Man, he was right. Let me get these skills and get this passport and bounce. Okay, now. So in other words, you plant the seed anyway. If they don't believe you, the seed's still there. And then she herself, Sapphire, Boom Chic, and Bonquisha, going to water that seed. Now, why is it important to tell them this even more so if their mothers don't like it? Well, because that means that the mothers are in on the racket. That's why. See, the only one that wants to protect a thief is a thief. Only a thief wants a thief to get away with the theft. Only murderers want murderers to get away with murder. Only racketeers want racketeers to get away with racketeering. That's it. And this is a racket. She's in on it if she doesn't want him to know about it. If she doesn't want him to know about it, that means that she is putting the benefit of other women to whom she's not related, hopefully, if they're messing with a son, over the benefit of a son to whom she is related. Her wishes are not to be respected. So they got to know this. This is very important. That being said, look, I wanted to keep this exactly under 10 minutes, but that's hard to do. And I just hit 10 minutes, but this is quite important. Last thing is to tell these young guys when you're giving it to them. The last thing is to tell them when you do bounce and you find someone not in the West. When you bounce, understand that your chances of finding a good woman outside the West do go up. It's not a guarantee, but it does go up. Understand that. And the good women that are in the West do exist, but they're taken. You can't expect to find them. You can't live by the exception. You got to live by the rule. It's not their fault. You can't find them. It's not your fault. It's not theirs. They did what they were supposed to do. They're who they're supposed to be, and they're supposed to be taken and spoken for. You go elsewhere, you raise your option, your chances, your possibility of finding an actual good woman. When you do, and you have kids with her, you tell your son, listen, this is what they did in the West, and that's why none of those women ever made it to become your mother. Make sure that you and tell your friends don't reward bad behaviors. These are the behaviors that they did. If you see them from women here, make sure you do not reward them, because the Westerners are going to try to convince the ones here, and the Westernized ones here are going to try to get away with that bullshit. Make sure it's not rewarded as behavior. Make sure your friends know about this too, so y'all can all be on code, and that game's going to be out. The racket's going to be busted before it gets started. Tell them that. That is very important. That is the most important thing, so that the cycle can continue. The same way that she has continued the racket generation after generation, and the cycle has continued. And that begs the question, how the hell do they all have this racket and none of us know about it? It's simple, because the ones of them that were not in on it still didn't bust it up. That's why. So that being said, you now understand why it is that I close out by saying black heterosexual male power, specifically because the Wicked Witch of the West doesn't like it. Black heart, black mind, blackout. Thanks for listening.